Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. So, what we have here, in a rather colourful look, is the Quadra Dome. In my attempts to better understand the Quadra Dome, which I'm starting to think, well, at least I'm gaining better appreciation for it, I thought, well, we better, for those that may wish it, look at a full-size dome. So I made this one, didn't I? It looks quite odd, and it may well be simply because of the way I decided to create it, but it's far better than my previous attempts. And while it does look disproportionate, it's actually quite symmetrical. Generally, the center triangle on a full-size dome will be symmetrical. It will be even on all three sides. There's a word for that. I can't remember what it is. Isosceles triangle, is it? Okay. So generally we have this triangle in the middle, and everything else around it generates the surface, and you can see that they look quite different from one to the other, and that's what is less pleasing. But they are symmetrical around the center point of the dome in the triangle here. That disproportionate look actually goes away when we go to the dome where we've got the truncated sides, so that's jolly good. But the logic behind how it's created needed to be chased down, and I was left wanting in the way that I'd approached it because I didn't think it was going to be symmetrical. So that happens to be the long leg, which I'm not using in the dome example, so I can hide that. But we wound up with this. It is a very logical process. It is easy to draw, and I have the feeling it is what I'm going to be going forward with. After you've created the different arcs or arches or arcs, you wind up with the intersection points. Not always easy to obtain with the drawing process within SketchUp. I've come across the fact that sometimes two arcs don't necessarily intersect. They should if they are geometrically perfect, but they don't necessarily because of this sectioned manner in which a circle will be created. But they're close enough. How we get to this point was simply that we create our dome, or our base, our structure, and by dividing up these sides and the bases, which is one and the same thing, at the points where the circumference is divided, we get our lines for our grid approach to building the dome. And those points, as we have become aware, makes the slightly different sizes for the grid. So it's not for a metre square base, these lines here aren't central to it. They're not at 500. So this measurement here and this measurement here being a wee bit different. That's what helps to create this distortion because it's not central. And if it had been central, this point would be further down in this area here, but it complicates how we draw the dome. It could be done. I'm just not needing to do that for my project. So it actually suits me to do it this way, because we want to retain the use of that and that, or that line and that line, which is part of, as you're well aware if you've been following along, these 2 points here, which are identical in length. They're just the divisions of the arc, which means we're inherently going to have a slightly different measurement, like I said here, 541 and 459, for the points at which the hubs will be created, and they set us up for the sides of the hub. No, that's wrong. The sides of the dome where it's truncated. So those points give us this point here, of course, because that's the half circle, and this point here, which is the, I'll just move this and remove this, which is this line, keep on removing them, which is this line here. So the method of creating the quad-based dome is much simpler. It may be not as geometrically elegant as the more conventional method, but even that I have found wanting in a couple of regards. And at the end of the day, we are fudging the surfaces because we truncate the things. So do we chase down a geometrically elegant process, or do we follow this process? We wind up with what we want, plus it can be used in other ways, and that was you can truncate it through the different points that you can't with the other approaches. So this has a facility or capability that the others do not have and can't have. So this is why the quadra approach to drawing the dome is taking the lead. Eventually I will do a video that has all three shown one after the other, and then I'll allow whoever is watching these videos to draw their own decision on which version they want. Just because I want this may not be what another person wants, and that was why I created this dome. Again, I don't think it's very pleasing when you see it like this, because the disproportionate nature of these triangles I think makes it look quite haphazard, and it could actually be incorrect anyway. So I've got my issues around how I built it and its looks for this, but for this it's more than adequate, and as I said, has got the advantage that the other two approaches don't have, about it being able to be divided in slices that could be used in a different manner. So back again to the top view, it can be sliced not simply in quarters, but it can be sliced through in the other points perfectly. Okay, so that was just the overview of where I am at the moment. Oh, by the way, the dimensioning with a 6 meter base, this is, means that we wind up with a 1700 point at the hub here, which is one of my preferred measurements. Oh, and by the way, the porcupine underneath here is going to be the subject of the next video. Rightio, see you later. Bye.